Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Terra. I'm going to throw together a quick video looking over my Terra value gaps indicator. In my opinion, this is the most advanced and most powerful fair value gap and inversion fair value gap indicator that exists, that you can get anywhere. I've never found one that comes even close to doing all the features that my indicator does. It's the reason I built the thing. And for anyone who trades ICT, you'll quickly know, if you know ICT and the importance of fair value gaps, you'll know and very quickly see how powerful this indicator is. And to show you what you're looking at here on the screen real quick, you're looking at NASDAQ, NQ on the left here, and you're looking at ES or the S&P 500 on the right here. You're both looking at the 1 minute, and this is live markets right now from the 30th of March 2026. It's in the afternoon, around midday New York time. So if you ever want to go back to your charts and have a look for yourself, you can go and see that this is live market stuff. And just been chatting to another customer who's recently picked up this indicator, and I've recently put in some new features into this indicator, so I figured I'd throw together this video and actually show you guys all the things that it can do, because it can do a lot. And I think the easiest way for me to explain this is you have 3 layers to this indicator. And by default, it will come at the 4 hour, 15 minute, and the 1 minute. Ooh. Okay, terrible M, but you get what I'm saying. And the way you want to use this, it's set up so that you'll be usually around the 1 minute entry time frame, and it stacks the higher time frames on top of your lower time frame chart. So because we're on the 1 minute, you can see a 15-minute chart here. A 15-minute fair value gap there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly go into the settings, because I don't even have everything turned on right now. I'm going to turn on all 3 time frames, so you can see all 3 of those layers overlapping each other. I like to use the higher time frame 4 hour, more of like analysis, but it's very, very useful intraday. In fact, there we go. You can see that the 4 hour here has now layered over the middle of the chart, and we're in a 4 hour fair value gap at the bottom there as well, and we're bouncing between these 2 4 hour levels. Something else I'm going to quickly do. The visuals in this indicator are kind of the key to navigating it intraday. I've tried to make it as simple as possible, but one of the issues I ran into was that when you're layering up 4 hour, 15 minute, 1 minute fair value gaps, inversion fair value gaps, tested, untested, or mitigated, as the indicator knows it as, very quickly your chart can be cluttered with noise. So I've got a lot of options in the settings, as you can see here, that go down, and it lets you customize all of this. Now there's a lot of settings in here, but let me walk you through it real quick, because it's a lot simpler than you may initially think. Here at the top, these 3 options at the top, they're analysis mode. We'll come back to that at the end of the video. This is like a shortcut to what we're about to look at. And these 3 toggles will turn on or off any one of the timeframes that you want. It's doing a lot of processing in the back, so it takes a second to load them up sometimes. But you can see there, I've only got a couple of 1 minute charts, 1 minute fair value gaps happening right now, because we've only got the entry, lowest, in this case the 1 minute, the entry time frame active. The lower time frame is the 15 minute by default. You can set it to whatever you want, and there are the 15 minutes. And of course, the 4 hours as we had on earlier. So what for now, just to kind of keep the chart a little bit clearer and make this a little bit easier to explain to you guys, I'm going to go with just the 15 minute and 1 minute, the lower and the entry time frames for now. If we scroll down in the menu, the first thing you really come to is the higher time frame block. That's all of this area here. The lower time frame block is basically the same thing. Same with the entry level block below it. So you've got 3 sets of settings for each time frame, and you can customize them entirely independent of each other. So you can have loads of 1 minute chart, 1 minute fair value gaps if you want, and only 1 higher time frame, or only 2 15 minutes, but 10 1 minutes. You can really customize it as you want. Personally, I like to keep it low. Extending bars is just how far out it sticks to the right side. And here you can see the counts. So like I was just saying, even though I've got it turned off right now, I actually only ever have 1 fair value gap turned on. However, down here, this is a feature called mitigation mode. This kind of bypasses this. So if you put this as off, you will get these settings. If you have this on mitigate, unmitigated only, it will show you all the untouched 4-hour fair value gaps. If you put it mitigate highlight, it'll highlight all the mitigated ones, or tested, if you will. That's what mitigated means. And it will do that with this white or light grey border. So you can see here, these 15-minute gaps are also on mitigate highlight. So it's highlighting that these ones have been tested. You can see price came up, tested it, and moved away. Price came up and tested it, and moved away. These 15-minute fair value gaps have been tested, and price has moved away from them. Because of this setting here, where it says delete iFVG when closed against, that's on by default, and it will clear out inversion fair value gaps when they've been closed against again. And you can have iFVGs, individual counts, FVGs, individual counts. Manual offsets is just a visual thing. And you can also enable the midline bar. I personally have that turned off. I'll show it to you on the 15-minute. So in a second, when it loads, you'll get a dotted grey line. There we go, through the middle of the 15-minute or the lower time frames. You don't have to have it on the others if you don't want. So very customizable. You can have it dashed as well if you want to make it a little bit clearer. Depends if, yeah, like me, you're able to trade on a PC full screen, then you don't really need to have it quite so visible. But I'll leave it like that for now. Why not? And if I, using the 15-minute, mitigation mode is almost like a settings override. If you turn this off, you're using these settings, and what it will do, it will show you the most recent fair value gap. And I've currently got it set to 1, so it'll only show me the most recent. It'll only show me one of them, and it'll only show me the most recent 15-minute fair value gap, which happens to be this red bar down here. Hopefully you guys can see that on my screen. I have it kind of dark. Hopefully you guys can see it. And I'm going to turn my midline off, so you can see it's there. So what I can see here is that my fair value gap, the downside is here. Downside because it's got a red label, and this red for 15-minute inversion fair value gap, because the background is red, has been closed and is going down now. So both of these are telling me the 15-minute is down, biased to the downside. And we've got some 1-minute fair value gaps there, also biased to the downside. We've got an inversion one, which if price closes below this 1-minute fair value gap down at the bottom, it's actually an inversion fair value gap because of the dark colored background. Gray is a fair value gap. Red is a inversion fair value gap. And if I go a bit further down in the settings, let me summarize so far. You have to forgive me, I've got a little bit of a scatterbrain at times, so let me summarize where I'm up to so far. Here are all your higher, by default, 4-hour settings. Mitigation mode is an override of your settings, but if you turn it off, you get to decide how many fair value gaps and inversion fair value gaps are shown on your chart. You can have the midline if you want it or not. Mitigation mode will show you all of them, basically. And you can show just the untouched ones, the untested ones, or unmitigated, or you can show both, and it will distinguish tested, untested, mitigated, unmitigated, via a white border. All of these colors you can change in the settings down in the bottom of this menu. So that's our higher time frame. You have the exact same set of settings for the lower time frame, which is default to the 15-minute. And you have the exact same settings again for the 1-minute, which is the entry time frame. And the entry time frame does have a few extra little bits. So see here, you can disable the lower or the higher time frames when you're on this time frame. So if you want to use these, the lower and the higher, as more like an analysis, but you want to get rid of them and stop cluttering up your chart so much. In fact, I've realized I'm going to have this and I'm going to go back. I'm going to turn that on. So this enables me to, I forgot I did that. How funny. So I can keep my higher time frame on. When I'm above the 1-minute, it'll show me the 4-hour value gaps. When I'm on the 1 minute, like I am right now, it'll clear them off my chart to keep my chart a little bit clearer, which is actually what I like to do. I like to have the 15 minute and the 1 minute when I'm actually intraday scalping like I'm doing right now, or have been doing this afternoon. These settings here, they allow you to have the entry time frame not be locked to just the 1 minute. So here you can see it says ignore entry time frame and use chart time frame below lower time frame. So what that means with this enabled, even though I've got it set to the 1 minute, if I go to the 5 minute, you'll see 15 minute and 5 minute value gaps, and I don't have to change any settings. See, there we go. Because with that toggle, I'll scroll back down to it. Here we go. With this toggle, ignore entry time frame below lower. So the lower is the 15 minute. What this is saying is every chart time frame below the 15 minute, it will change this for me automatically. So I can have every single, these settings apply to every chart time frame below the 15 minute. Like right now, we're on the 5 minute. Let's go back to the, let's go to the 15 second. I jump to this, this time frame every so often. And what these settings mean, it will ignore the 1 minute. And look, you can see they've got the 15 minute and the 15 minutes there. We've got 15 second fair value gaps all the way down here. I'll go back to the 1 minute. Here are our 1 minute fair value gaps in action. And I don't have to go into the settings menu to change anything. That is the reason there are so many options here in the menu for you, because you can really tailor it to act and behave the way you want it to then and there in the moment. And the idea is, with all of my indicators, is set and forget. I try and tailor them as much as I can so that you can go into them, set up your settings how you like them, and you don't have to go back in there. And the chart will automatically change to what you want. That's what I'm trying to have my indicators do when it comes to how they behave. And you can see here I've got mitigation mode turned off, so it's showing me just the counts, which is 2 fair value gaps and 1 inversion fair value gap. 1, 2 fair value gaps, and the big red bar down here is the 1 inversion fair value gap. If I want to bypass those and go to, let's do mitigate highlight, it should show me a lot more of them. And it will bypass these settings here when it loads. It takes a minute. There we go. So now you can see there's loads of 1 minutes all over the place. Some of them have been mitigated with the border. Some of them have not. And you can see here we're bouncing into these ones. Mitigation mode is very, very powerful. It's one of the things I've added more recently. And I like to use mitigation off on 1 minute, but I like to use it on the 15 minute, which I have set there. Now, there's one thing I haven't mentioned, which I'm going to mention now, which is called dynamic extension. Dynamic extension was incredibly difficult to make work correctly, but it's these toggles here. Each time frame has this. You notice how, even though they're jumping around a bit all over the place here, you notice how these fair value gaps and this inversion fair value gap are being automatically drawn to different lengths, regardless of what the chart has done. This is what dynamic extension is. If let's say here, we've got this big, long inversion fair value gap just there. I'm going to turn off dynamic extension for the iFVG. What you're going to see is this red bar draw all the way back over here. Eventually when it loads. There we go. Dynamic extension will automatically redraw it out to the right every single time price is in that range. So every single time price comes to a fair value gap or an inversion fair value gap with dynamic extensions turned on, which I have on by default on all of my timeframes, it'll automatically redraw them out to the right for you. That way, if you've got them off the chart, they'll automatically draw and you won't miss them. Very, very powerful, incredibly difficult to get working. And I won't bore you with the coding challenges I had with this indicator, but it was pretty extensive. There is one other feature I'll mention now while I'm at it. There you go, you can see it's all redrawing. So the reason this thing just happened is because we just closed a 15-minute gap. It is exactly 12:30 New York time. But we just got ourselves a 15-minute bar there. And if I go back into the settings, there we go, dynamic extensions. You see here, we have all the higher time frames. Here is the label text. So you can have the letters. Here they are. You can literally type in whatever you want into here. So it's custom text. So if you want to type a message to yourself, you can do that. And that's all these toggles. I have the actual FVG and iFVG turned off because I personally don't need them. I just like having the time frame, which is the 1 minute, the 15 minute, and so on. Down here below are all your color options. They're pretty much the same thing for each time frame. You have the bullish FVG and bearish FVGs. I have them both set to grey. Bullish into iFVG color, a bearish iFVG that is, will be red. Same with a bearish FVG flipping into a bullish iFVG, be blue. And you got the colors of the actual text themselves there as well. Same with the lower, same with the entry, and the entry also does have some extra ones as well because it does a few little extra bits due to these settings here. Just play around with it, see what you like. And down here at the very, very bottom is the last color option that I added. This is called the pending border. This is on by default, and there aren't any happening right this moment. But what it is when price, how do I explain this? I'm going to draw one out for you. Okay. When price, say this is a bullish FVG. When price goes above it and starts closing below it, but the time frame hasn't closed yet, it hasn't confirmed, what it will do is it will add a pending border. And let me go into the settings. Will look like that. So say this was a bullish fair value gap. Price temporarily dips below it. A colored border will appear on it, and it will be red, indicating that if price closes there, it will flip red, and it will become an inverted bearish inversion fair value gap. And the same thing happens in the other way around as well. And it's just a nice little visual cue, and you can see before the candle closes if it's actually potentially about to flip its bias. And that's just in there by default. These white borders are the mitigation clue. It's telling you that it's been mitigated already. And you can see on the chart, I've got two charts. I've got NQ and ES. I like running them side by side because you can see here, the dynamic extension dragged a 15 minute all the way from over here. And you can see these unmitigated levels all the way down here. And it's just a very, very useful, very powerful indicator. If I go back to the 15 minute, my 4 hour fair value gaps should automatically draw on the chart. And you'll see the 15 minutes on top of it. Now I've got 15 minute in mitigation mode, which means there's lots of 15 minute levels all over the place. But you can see here, we had a big, from way back when, I don't even know when this started, from weeks and weeks ago, this big 4 hour fair value gap at the bottom. We've tapped into it this morning, or sorry, last night, I should say, and we bounced out of it, leaving some 15 minute gaps below us here. And as price has come back down to it, let me go back in time a little bit. I'll show you what it looks like in replayer. Once it loads. So what you see, so we've got the 4 minute and it's leaving 15 minutes behind. And we've got loads of 15 minutes and a few 4 hours above us as well. Now I've got mitigate highlight on, which means it shows me all of them. You don't need to have it quite so busy as this. If you want to have just a few shown, you can have just a couple shown. I'm going to show you this, and you can see the dynamic extensions happening. You can see they redraw themselves automatically. So I never have to worry about finding them and seeing them on my chart. The chart will automatically show me where they are. Now I'm going to go back a couple of bars because I saw perfectly something I wanted to illustrate to you guys. The pending border. Saw it in action. Give it a quick moment. There we go. Perfect. See that 4 hour right in the middle there with the blue border? That is the pending border. You can see because it's got a red label, it is a bearish 4-hour fair value gap to the downside. Price has come up to it, and price has gone out the top of this bearish fair value gap. And its blue border is telling me this 4-hour fair value gap is pending a bearish inversion to the upside. So it didn't end up happening because price ended up opening before that candle confirmed, and it stayed a bearish 4-hour fair value gap. And if I just let this thing do its thing, that's as far as we've got for today. But you can see there was a really good example of the pending border feature and why I like to use it, because it's very, very powerful, and it's very, very useful, because a big part of why I built this indicator at all was because I really struggled keeping up with all of the fair value gaps on across multiple time frames. Because if you follow ICT, you know the importance of the higher time frames and keeping everything synced up together, especially if you're trading market maker models. They're all fractal of each other. So let's go have a look now, because we've gone through, I'll do a quick summary. So we have the higher time frame, the lower time frame, and the entry time frame. 4-hour, 15-minute, and 1-minute. They each run independently of each other, and for the most part they have the same settings. The entry has a few little extra bits just for extra razzle dazzle, and you can just be a little bit more flexible on your entry time frame. Sometimes you might not be entering on the 1-minute, you might be entering on the 2-minute or the 3-minute or the 30-second. These extra little settings just enable the indicator to stay to the chart you're on those lower time frames. That's pretty much it. That's the main difference. Everything else is just visual. Do you want the labels to, what do you want the labels to look like? What colors do you want to run? The pending border, if you can use that as well. If you don't want the pending border for whatever reason, just put these to 0 in opacity, and you won't see them, but they're incredibly useful. I definitely recommend having them on all the time. You can see here at the bottom, the mitigation border, which is just tested, is what I have it in white. What I'm going to show you now is a shortcut, because what I like to do at the weekends, I like to use something called analysis mode. And that is these 3 settings right up here at the top. It bypasses every single thing below it. Everything. It basically turns everything off, and it runs a preset profile, I guess you could say. And what it will do, if I turn this on, I'm going to show it on, let's do unmitigated only. This locks to the chart time frame that you're on, and it will show you this many FVGs and this many iFVGs. So I'm going to do just 2 for now, and that's it. That's all it will show you, but it will show you all of them. So you can see here, I'm on the 5-minute chart. Here are all the 5-minute fair value gaps and a few inversion fair value gaps. This is in unmitigated only. So these are the levels that have not been tested, have not been tested yet. If I go to the 15-minute, there are all the 15-minute fair value gaps that have not been tested. Here's all the 1 hours. Not many, actually. I thought there'd be more. Here's the 4-hour. You see, it's a very quick, easy way. Just go and find where all the untouched levels are. Let's go look at the daily. Why not? You know, we've got a couple of daily fair value gaps above us. Very quick, very easy, very simple. And this is just a very quick way, in just a couple of clicks, you can go into analysis mode and go and find some levels without having to go into here and change everything and then change it all back. If you go to mitigate highlight, this is actually how I prefer to use this mode. I have it on mitigate highlight because it shows me the tested and the untested via, those are really small, but via the grey border. If I go back down to, let's say, the 1 hour, let's have a look at the 1 hour real quick. So you can see here, lots and lots of tested levels above us. So there's a lot of liquidity getting picked up, lots of liquidity. So here, if price, and this is the way I would use this, we're starting to get a bit of a bounce up here. If price comes up to around about this level and tests these and then starts to reject back down, well, you can expect price to continue down. And it's just a really nice, quick, fun way of finding those important levels without having to change any of your settings. And all I have to do is turn that off, and everything below it is back as it was. And it will now go and find me my 3 layers See, even I'm on the 1 hour, it's still showing me the 4-hour levels on top of it. If I go down to the 15-minute, it'll show me the 15 minutes as well as the 4-hour. And you can change these to whatever you want. So very powerful, it's very complex, I'll be honest. It is very complex. That's why I wanted to make this video and just do a walkthrough with you. It's not as complex as it seems. It just has a bunch of features and it lets you tailor things as you want them. So to summarize, you have 3 layers through this indicator. Depending on what chart you are looking at, you'll see the layers as you go. By default, they're the 4-hour, 15-minute, and 1-minute. You can change them to whatever you like. Something that's really, if these numbers, if these time frames don't really do it for you, something you can try is the daily, the 1 hour, and the 5-minute. That's a really good combination as well. And analysis mode is a way of bypassing all these settings and just sticking it to the chart. And it will show you whatever you've set to. Just the tested, just the untested, or the tested and untested. It will show you all of them. So there we go. Apologies for a bit of a rambly video. We'll probably do more videos on this because this is definitely one of my more complex indicators. And it gives you so much freedom to just not worry about keeping up with these very important ICT liquidity levels. You can be very flexible and actually focus on the chart itself and let it do all the work for you. And you can keep things simple. If I go back down to my 1-minute chart, which is where I tend to do my intraday trading, really not that complex. And you can see my dynamic extension is, I know exactly what this bug is. It should be coming out to about here. I did some changes to it this morning, so I actually know exactly what this bug is. So that will be fixed. It will look like this, and it'll only extend a couple of bars. Where is it? Here, 12 bars. That's how many it will be done by the time you're seeing this video. I know exactly how to fix that. I'm going to go do that right now. It's a complex beast. But there we go, folks. That's enough rambling from me. Hopefully this video has helped. Have a play around with it. Feel free to ask me questions as well on WAP. I'm always happy to throw some ideas out there and do some testing with you. And if you are looking to do something, if you've got some specific time frames you want to use and have a look at, just let me know and I'll help you figure out a nice settings profile that you can use. Okay, folks, thanks very much. They're out.